Today is January 27th, 2023. This is episode 213 of Maelstrom Radio. Maelstrom Radio. With your hosts, Gladys and Shitter. And welcome everybody to Maelstrom Radio. My name is Peter. With me is my good friend and co-host, Quinton.
Hi.
We host a
Final Fantasy
14 podcast.
All right, I'll give you that one. That was masterfully done. Just snuck that right in there.
Right in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Where we teach you about
and learn all the levels of magic. You see, it's not just a simple one little thing. There are 8 different levels of magic, both white and black.
And of course, we'll always help you
Get in touch with your wizard.
here at Maelstrom Radio.
As soon as we started, I felt really, really hot, so I'm just like, take off that sweater now.
Yeah.
Not used to that in the winter.
Bowels of El Diablo.
I'm firing all cylinders.
That's more like Remnant,
Yeah, well, yeah, it's true.
especially that dragon we were fighting yesterday.
Oh, spicy boy. So spicy.
Extra spicy.
So spicy. Well,
See, that's a good thing. Like, what have we been up to this past week? We played that.
yeah, we did. We played Remnant.
Yeah.
I'm enjoying it. I feel like we're a little stronger this week than we were last week. I don't know what happened, but
That's true. I mean, we're getting a little bit better at playing it. We're still not great at playing it, but
No.
we're doing better.
we are doing better. I have a friend that shoots out of my shotgun. I still don't know what it does. It didn't do anything to the dragon, but
Yeah.
and it's got like fruits on it. I think it's got something on it.
I feel like maybe you should put the fire on your shotgun.
Maybe. Can I swap them around? Oh,
Oh,
I
yeah.
guess I could swap them around.
Yeah.
So, well,
I have
did
the
that.
fire on my sniper rifle, so.
yeah. I do have the fire on my pistol, and that seems to be okay. So,
Yeah, but if you use your shotgun more,
true.
fire.
It'd be doing damage.
Because that's what is most important.
What is most?
What is most important? Are you having fun playing it?
Yeah, I would say so. I think I'm having an okay time. I would say it's less difficult so far than Dark Souls. Like, it's
That could be because we're going through at our own pace rather than following somebody.
okay.
So if something's too hard, we have to kind of backtrack and we have to actually get through everything ourselves.
Yeah,
We're not getting carried.
that's also well. Also,
And the controls are a lot less clunky.
also, we're able to do things together in an efficient
That too.
way.
Yeah.
All caps.
And
Typo.
maybe we learned a little bit with Dark Souls.
I feel like I've become a better player of games that are difficult. I feel like I've
Sorry, how many times
suffered
have you cleared Hades?
one,
But
but
9 more.
well, that's fine. I don't think Hades is difficult. I think it's just it's all RNG based on your build, right? Like once you understand like okay, what synergizes with what, then it's a little easier to play.
Yeah, but it's less RNG and more just how to make the abilities work for a build.
Yeah. Well, I figured that out
Right,
once I
like-
went back to the spear, and it was like, well, what if I just overpowered the throw?
Yeah, so you just have to figure out, based on the stuff that you're being given, what is a good build.
Yeah. Well, when
'Cause you can't really change what you're being given, but you can use it to your
when I
advantage.
created the addle of power, that that joke's for all the history buffs out there. History buffs and anybody that's interested in like dead things. Well, not
Speaking of necromancers,
hold
hold on to that. I actually
Death's
I
Door?
played Guild Wars this week.
Okay.
So I was segueing into the ESO announcement, but
Okay.
I did play Guild Wars, and we did play Raft for our Sunday stream.
Oddly enough, that worked so well for so many things. Like Death's Door. All right.
Yep,
Well,
yep, there we go.
man. All right.
Speaking of dead things, which is most of the games we play, generally it's us.
Yeah. Yeah. I played Death's Door this week, and I love that game. It is so delightful. It is the most like, oh, everything's not dying and death doesn't exist. Make it happen. So it's like a can do.
I'm gonna kill you.
Essentially, also I found that the squid is the chef. And by the squid is the chef,
reasonable.
I mean the squid is puppeteering a dead man's corpse to cook food.
Honestly, I'd hope that they'd be doing more than one.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited for
Essentially, is what it is, plus guns.
Plus guns, yeah.
Dark Souls.
Yeah.
Or Remnant.
Gun Soul.
Gun Souls.
Dark
guns.
But yes, the ESO announcement happened on January 25th, 2023. I did watch it. Yeah. So ESO announced Necrom, the new expansion in the ESO lineup. Necron is going to be about the further
Dead
area.
things.
Yeah. Well, it's further expanding out the Skyrim area. So and we're gonna go see the city of the Dark Elves. And what I love about it's like, well, we're bringing cosmic horror. I was like, delicious. Excellent. And they added a new class, the Arcanist, that uses books, so I'm excited. It's a very like cosmic horror. Like even the big boss is just like a giant multi-eyed tentacle thing. I like anything with cosmic horror, so you tell me cosmic horror is in there, I'll probably go to show up. I'm not gonna lie.
That's true. You've played many cosmic horror games from many different genres.
That's very true. It's, you know, many of my longtime MMO games were cosmic horror based. So
And the dating sim.
yeah, also true. Man, I really do like cosmic horror. So Necron looks great. Like it looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited that they're taking time this expansion not to deliver more content, but to deliver more like, hey, we're going to give you a patch, and then we're going to do a patch of just nothing but fixing the game. Like they want it. They're like, we want to like fix all the things because I believe last expansion they did a fix where they're like, we're gonna fix how your class scales, and so that way it'll be easier, so that content's a little tougher for groups. And people were like, that doesn't seem like the math didn't add up. So when I logged into the game last to play, I felt very weak compared to how I was feeling prior. And I was like, I don't like this at all. Like, I do not feel good like playing my class currently. Yeah, it wasn't good. It was not good. So I'm excited to see them fix things, like legitimately fix things. I know they've been putting money into fixing like their server infrastructure, and that's been better. PvP server infrastructure has been getting better. So I'm glad they're just putting time into like, hey, we're going to just fix everything that's wrong as much as possible and deliver on better quality. So if they say, hey, a little bit less content, a little more, quality of life improvements and stuff like that, I'm okay with that. Like sometimes an MMO just needs to say, hey, listen, we need to pull back a little bit so we can deliver a better product for you. You've been playing this now it's been out for 10 something years. So you need, sometimes you need to dust off the
that long? I don't think it's been that long.
It's been a while.
It's been a while, but
has it not been 10 years? I feel like it's been a while.
No, because I'm pretty sure Guild Wars just hit 10 years.
So 9 years, maybe? Yeah, it's true. Guild Wars. Hate to learn. It's getting close on a decade. So watch it be like 11. Just missed it.
7.
7. Oh wow.
It originally released in 2015.
Oh boy. Oh god, I'm so old. So super
It'll be 8 this year.
excited about the new class. Arcanist is not something I expected them to announce. I didn't think they were going to do a new class archetype this go around. And at the end of everything, they're like, "Oh, we're going to release a big drop." Later, the last, like, near the end of the year, they're doing something. This is a multiplayer endless dungeon, which we love here. We love anything that's like, hey, what if we did a dungeon that's just never ending? So I don't know how never ending is, but never ended.
That's
I
right.
guess.
Chili is right. It is April 4th, 2014.
Console
So
was
it is
2015.
9.
So it is 9. So
Yeah.
they're almost there. Almost there. Also, I've been dipping into Final Fantasy XI. Horizon, the lovely private server, it's pretty good. The Final Fantasy XI is a very interesting MMO. It is take EverQuest,
Yep.
and then add how do I explain this? Then add turn-based combat.
Yeah, that's the weird part, is the turn-based combat.
It locks you in. So you know how, like, in EverQuest, like, you like run up to a thing and you can attack it and then run away from it. So in Final Fantasy, it's like you select the creature you want to fight, and then it's like you engage, you click engage, and then you fight, and then you choose skills that you're like, all right, attack. I'm going to use this weapon skill or this class skill, and it does the thing. It triggers it. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it don't hit. Sometimes you have bad times. And then if you succeed, you get XP. If you don't succeed, you get level down.
You get death.
You get death, and you get level down. But in general, is it very charming? Yes. Is it a very chill? It is the chillest of MMOs. The chillest of MMOs. You could easily
Put Toontown.
No, it's too hype.
True. What about the Jane Austen MMO?
Well, RIP, I guess. Server shut down. I'm so glad that I got to stream it one last time. So, poor Jane Austen MMO couldn't make it work. Their cash shop was atrocious. It was so bad. All right. Well, you can spend 47 Jane Austen shecklings here to buy this dress. Like, how much does the sheckling cost? $47. Wait a minute. Am I the only person paying for this server? Jane Austen will appreciate you. So Final Fantasy XI is very relaxing and very calming. And honestly, the people on that server are very nice. Like, I have not met anybody that was a jerk or like anybody that's been negative any sort of way. The team behind it are putting in probably too much. Like, what I would say is, I'm going to explain this in the nicest way possible. The amount of work is a labor of love for a passion of a game that is not getting updates, and the fact that they are putting in that much effort with no money being like nobody's making money off this. This is clearly for a hobby. They're not even asking for money to keep the server. Like, there's no donation. Like anything I see that's like nothing. This is all just like, we're doing this because we love this game and we love playing it with people. So,
to be fair, it was the same thing that Project 99 did.
Yeah,
and they did it for years before they got official recognition.
Susan says, do you think there are new people checking it out, or is it mostly people that played it? I think there are absolutely new people checking it out, because in the Discord server, there are people who are like, this is my first time playing 11. And it's like, why didn't I try this sooner? Like, there's people that are playing 11 because of 14. Like, they played 14 and they're like caught up in the story, so they're trying out 11. And there is an adjustment to play. Like, if you played an old school MMO, you kind of understand, like, all right, I have to read things. I have to understand the quest. Like, I'm from that era of like having to read and locating a thing. And like, other people are like, where is this? Like, luckily the internet exists and everybody's like already found it all and like, put it on the internet. So like, You know, it's easy.
I
And
mean, it is like a 12-year-old or
yeah,
21-year-old game.
but it is fun watching
22.
people like say, "Oh, is there quests?" And like, yes, there are quests, and some of them are repeatable. And you just turn them in over and over again, and you get money. That's you're like, all right, I'm gonna
Just
go
like
outside.
EverQuest.
I'm gonna kill 4,000 bats and turn in their 20 wings that I get. So there's a little bit of like bare butthole in there, but you know, it's fine.
I mean, this is first gen MMO.
Oh, for sure.
Like,
Oh yeah.
the
But
one thing I do remember that 11 had on every single MMO, and it had it probably through like the late 2000s, is that it was the only MMO that was on a console.
yeah,
It was on the PS2.
very true. Very true. It was the first one. EverQuest Adventures was on PlayStation 2.
True, but it wasn't as much of an MMO.
It wasn't. Yeah, it was an MMO light. It was an MMO.
Yeah.
Like it gave people something to play where you're like, I want to play EverQuest, but I only have a PlayStation 2. It's like, we'll make you EverQuest Online Adventures. Is it the same? No. Oh.
Yeah.
But also the music is phenomenal. It's so good. The music is so good. But I expect that from a Final Fantasy game. Like the music should be bopping. The Ronfaru Forest sound, it's such a bop. It's so like classical baroque, like la ba da 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 da, like you're like yay, like someone's doing a wall, like a lovely like dance in a ballroom. It's so good. And you know, always the question is like, are emulated MMOs good or bad for MMOs in general? And like you and I discussed this, right? Like,
Yep.
On a, by the way, if you ever wonder what we do when we don't deliver you an episode and wonder like what we do in the off brand, it's called Bonus Round, and we talk about strictly. So far it's been a lot of like MMO talk there, like off brand.
It's only been MMO talk.
So
oh no, wait, that's not true. We did have a cat episode.
That's true. We did.
Yeah.
But I think we're both in agreement that we are for emulators when companies no longer want to keep the servers going, which we know costs money, and if the community wants to do the work for it.
Not completely.
No, you're not.
So no, I think when we had that conversation, it was very much, I think that when a company no longer wants to run a game, that they should release the source of the server so that other people can run private servers.
Yes. Yep.
However, while a game is up, I think that there is still a benefit of private servers.
Mm-hmm.
As much as companies don't want them, and legally they generally have to shut them down, just to protect their copyright and trademarks and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that it's a bad thing to have a private server while an MMO is still active. For example, Project 99 or Horizon, both of those are private servers that are running while there's a fully active MMO. And the reason for that is most of the people that are playing on those private servers would never play on the public servers anyway.
True.
And there's a chance that people that are playing on those private servers may convert to the public servers because, of course, the private servers aren't up to date with all the latest of everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think there's any real downside of having those private servers because, again, most of those customers wouldn't be paying you anyway. But there is the chance that they become a paying customer, and that's a positive for the company. So
yeah,
as long as it stays under the radar, so to speak, so that it doesn't get into that legal issues, I do think that it is a net positive for the community and for the game.
Horizon is clearly making a lot of, because people are streaming it and putting Horizon in the tag. Like, as far as I'm aware, as long as they don't charge money for it, Square Enix seems to be like, you don't make money, you don't make money off of this, we don't come after you. So
we don't see this.
Yeah, we don't see this. We don't see this.
This is not a thing.
Yeah. This doesn't exist. As soon as a dollar sign shows up, and all of a sudden it's like,
yeah.
No. Hot. Don't touch.
Yeah.
So, but yeah. I mean, if it wasn't for private servers, we wouldn't, like, we know WildStar is being worked on a private server. I don't know if it's fully done yet, but WildStar will never exist again. Like it'll, and that's sad
Tabula
because
rasa.
that should never exist again. That one,
Vanguard.
that one should.
That one should.
That one should. I think Vanguard.
I think Star Wars Galaxies had one at one point. I don't know if it's still around.
Oh, it's still around,
Still
and they
is?
actually released an expansion for it
Oh,
that
nice.
did not exist originally. So,
Well, they still were on the pre-new game experience, weren't they?
yes,
Yeah.
they added farming to the game that didn't have farming. So they're actually creating new content at this point. That's where they're at with that game. So, I'm for it, and I think that other MMOs will benefit from it. So, yeah. Quinton, you've been playing what? You've been playing Raft.
We played Raft on the Sundays. It's kind of our new community game that we're playing. We kind of wanted to move away from Stardew for a little bit just because we've been playing it for almost a year now. We're kind of at the end of our personal goals of what we want to accomplish, and we're at the point where there's just a lot to do every day. So like if Sarah, Cass, and myself are not all there, then it's very hard for us to play it just because like if Sarah isn't there, we don't have someone who knows all of our farming, all of our animals, all of our crops, all of our production side of things. If I'm not there, the stream doesn't run, so that's a problem. And if Cass isn't there, then there's a lot less that we can do overall as well. So it's a little bit difficult to maintain that. So I think we're going to try to wrap up the final stream this weekend, assuming that we can get everyone together, and then probably hop over to Raft for a little while because it's been a pretty chill game. We've been playing it on peaceful difficulty, which means that the animals or the creatures do not attack us. So the shark that is the antagonist of the whole game is just chilling around and swimming around us.
So it's more like,
Doesn't bother.
hey friend.
Yep. I've booped him on the nose a few times. Stream has affectionately named him Steve Blooperton.
Okay.
Yep. And we also have we have 2 llamas and 2 chickens. I remember one chicken is Marshall. I don't remember the second chicken. One of the llamas is Joe. And the other llama, I also don't remember because we've had Marshall and Joe for 2 weeks, and we got the other 2 at the end of last stream, and I don't remember what their names are. Yeah. So that's our Raft. Susan's asking, will you play solo games sometime on your Sunday stream, or will you always have guest players each week? That depends. So the purpose of the stream is just kind of, it's a nice chill Sunday morning stream for me. And I like to play games with people, and people are always welcome to join me. So if people are around and they want to join me, then of course I'll have them join me. And generally that means that I will be playing games that are multiplayer or have the ability to be multiplayer. On the chance that no one is there for the stream, when I start up the stream, I may start up a solo game. But generally there's always someone around. So I'm always going to start up those multiplayer games. Like Raft, for instance, all these games are kind of drop in, drop out. So if someone wants to come in, then they can just come in and join. If you own Raft, then we just send you the invite and you come and join us on Raft for a bit. It's not like you need anything. You can just pop. If someone wants to join you, they should mention in our Discord. Yes. So again, these games are for our community. And specifically, we want people who are involved in our community. We don't want just people just to drop in because, hey, you're streaming Raft. Can I join? We want to know people beforehand, especially with these sorts of community game or the like survival games. We don't want someone to pop in and destroy things. So we'll have them join the Discord. That'll be the first step, and then like they can chat a little bit, and if they're active a little bit, and we get to know them, or they show up in a bunch of streams, hang out, then we'll see about adding them in. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm approaching it. It's very relaxed. It's not very particular about how all this goes. We're just kind of going with it and seeing how it works. But yeah, it's been pretty cool so far.
Yeah.
And Raft is a neat game. We've also talked about playing Grounded. That one's only 4 players. Raft is up to 8. But yeah.
All right.
So And we're always looking for more games if people have ideas and thoughts.
One day, Susan.
Minecraft is not on the list right now.
Susan, one day, Susan and I will go back to Minecraft.
Yeah.
We'll build the house we deserve.
Yeah, Susan, if you want to come join on a Sunday, you can do all the random stuff on a Saturday or get Peter to do all the random stuff when he's not working on the weekend. I've also been doing a lot of Guild Wars 2. Like your Final Fantasy 11, I've been dipping back into that. I am almost finished Icebrood Saga, which is the final content patches before the latest expansion, which is End of Dragons. So I'm almost done that. And within the next couple weeks, they're supposed to announce the roadmap for the next year, which we're hoping also includes a new expansion or information around that, or a new living series, living world content. So it's been pretty good. The story is definitely a lot better in the last two, in Living World Season 4 and Icebrood Saga. I unlocked my dragon finally. That took a long time. And yeah, it's been pretty exciting.
Nice.
No death.
No death? Okay.
No D level.
No, not in Guild Wars. Once you get to level, then it's just like, well, here's your gear.
Yeah.
Ride it out. So I've not played. We're going to talk about the Alliance Raid story. I've not played the main story of 6.3.
I have.
I've been busy with, like, I've been getting home late, so
I finished it day one, so that's the only reason I've finished it.
no new job.
Yeah.
I'm getting better at getting my, like, I've made it a point to finish my work at work, so I don't take it home with me. So like I don't have to do any work this weekend, right? And like it's nice knowing I have a job where I don't have to worry about like, oh, I got to do a thing. Like I have to, like, it's not like my old property management position where I was like, I'm on call 24/7.
Yeah.
We did shows through that era. It sucked. So, so it's nice. I just have to get better about like trying to leave at a decent time and, trying to make certain things faster and keeping up with tasks at work so I can get things done faster. Right. So, but also digging into like my team and like trying to figure out the ins and outs of like what they're doing and how to make it easier for them. And so far, no complaints. And so far,
it's good.
Yeah, everyone's like, we like you so far. It's like, thank you.
The undertones just don't mess it up. Don't mess it up.
Yeah, like in my head, I'm like, just be good. Just be good. So I'm very much. Yeah, that's true. And Susan's right. Like I've been playing other games over playing Final Fantasy 14.
Like 11 and Death's Door.
Death's Door. But Death's Door is so good though. Like it's just
but you only play that on stream.
It's also true.
That's the hard part, right?
Yeah.
You really want to play a game, you're like, I gotta wait.
Yeah. So that may get an extra stream. Maybe this weekend. Maybe. I don't want to say yes and then not do it.
Sherry, speaking of, we are talking about doing that still. We'll get to that later though.
So but we are going to talk about the
Alliance Raid.
We are going to talk about the Alliance Raid. So let's just get it. Let's get into that. Let's dig into that. So for those of you who are currently playing the current patch, the new 6.3 dropped the new Alliance Raid in Final Fantasy 14, which spoilers, by the way. If you've not played the new Alliance Raid, you might want to. How do you want to do this? Do you want to talk about the fights and then, like, I guess that, like, do you want to talk about the story or just talk, like, go and just go in sequential order? Like, we'll just talk about the person in the fight.
However you want to go for it.
All right. Well, let's talk about the fights. Let's fight one. A lot of fun. I saw 30% of it. So
That is true. Most of these. So for anyone who didn't see our stream where we streamed this a few weeks ago, Peter was not having good internet.
Nope.
And missed most of these fights.
Just specifically in Final Fantasy 14, stream was fine. We streamed it. Stream was fine. Fights were not bueno. Story was fine. Like I'd stream this. It was for whatever reason in that instance of those fights, it did not like that I was in those fights.
Yeah.
Didn't want.
And Susan wanted to call it the VOD is on YouTube.
The VOD is watch it. I'm hoping Susan just cut out all the parts where I was frozen. like hyper cuts. Nope, probably not. It's too much work.
No, I think it was just the beginning up until the point when we did all the story, and then I think she just did like when we were in the zone.
That makes sense. Checks out.
Yeah.
So we got in the zone. Gorgeous, by the way. The visuals were great. The first boss was a delight. I think it was a lot of fun.
All of them were kind of.
Yeah. The second boss, boy howdy. Buses.
Bosses.
Plural. That's right.
There's more than one boss.
But they said buses. I was like, wait a minute, we did that one. That was the Near Alliance, right? They threw subways at us. No, the second fights.
No, we haven't named any of the bosses.
We haven't named anything yet, just for spoiler's sake. So, the second two bosses were a lot of fun. I was hoping that it was gonna have a mechanic where they had to die. Again, I'm bringing back old school mechanics where they have to die within certain time of
That's
each
not
other.
old school mechanic. That's still active today.
Well, it's true.
There's lots of stuff all over the place with that.
They gotta die within 5 minutes of like within a couple seconds, minutes of each other, and then or if not, they respawn.
To be fair, we did kill them both within 30 seconds of each other, so it could be that way. We just don't know.
It was true. We don't know. I would love to find out. I would love to see if there's a team that's trying to just go in there and just do one boss down and then focus on the other.
I did like the mechanics, or the way that the mechanics played off of each other, because with these two, like one is time based and one is space based. So you have one that could affect
space.
Not again. You have one that can affect like the area, and one that affects how fast or slow things happen. So like if the time stuff was going off, AoEs would go sooner or later than what you would expect. If the space one is going, things would move around, or you would move around. And then they eventually started combining those two things together, which made for a really hectic but really fun fight. Because you'd kind of get moved, and then suddenly the AoE would go off instantly when you expected it to be a little later. Wasn't great, but
no. Third fight, oh boy, what a delight that was. That was the one I had the most time
for this one.
True, me too. That one had some tight mechanics. Like, I don't think anything was overtly difficult, but it was very tight mechanics. Like, I think the you had to move it like pretty quick to like get to spaces. Like, all right, where I gotta go. Like, as long as you paid attention, you were fine during that fight. I don't think
I don't remember having to move quickly or anything.
I do. I remember like, oh, adjust to this little tiny pie wedge, then you're good. So I was like, yeah. Because that's, I think, the fight where I think I died the most, and also the fight I was up the most in. So, like, internet-wise.
Those probably both went together.
Yeah, see, yeah, you
were there the most, therefore you died the most, because the other places you didn't have a chance to.
I don't know. I didn't know what was going on. So I had delight during that fight. Also, many spears, many pokes.
So many spears.
So many spears.
But the last fight was the best.
It was pretty magical.
Mostly just because of the dog.
Big old pupper.
Susan explicitly has a producer note here that says, please make her dog a mount.
I agree.
Please. I also agree. I said that during the stream. It's better be a mount.
It should be.
Yeah.
It'll be sold for MGP. or on the cash shop for $25. Which would almost be worse.
Okay with that.
Really?
I don't have MGP, but I have disposable income.
Well, hello, Mr. Moneybags.
The amount of time it would take for me to farm the millions of GB.
the G
MGP. There we go. It's been a while. Is much longer than it would take for me to earn $25.
Just start now.
Which is like, even at minimum wage, is 2 hours of work.
Just go in, do all the book for the MGP, and then hit it up at Make It Rain. Like, just hit it real hard.
Well, yeah, but you have to wait till June for that then, or May, depending.
Well, actually, it's whenever they have a really big lull. So
May or June, depending.
Yeah, that's true. Fair. So I adored all of this. So fight wise, great. I loved all the fights. The concepts behind all the fights were really good. I'm interested to see where we're going with the next set of fights, like the next bosses.
So we already know the next bosses.
Yeah, we know them. Yeah, see, it's now it's process of elimination, so we're aware.
So spoiler time. There is actually information around all of these. Like as Susan pointed out in her lovely notes, like each of these raids are based off one of the Charities in Greek mythology, or also known as the Graces. But there are 3 of them. Aglia, which is the first raid we had. Euphrosyne, which is Joy, the second one that we had here, and Thalia is the third one. So we're pretty much assuming that Thalia is going to be the final one at this point, especially considering the other 2. Which also makes sense because we haven't fought Thaliak, and that kind of the names they fit. We didn't have really any other. There's no Euphrosyne in this raid, and there wasn't any Aglia in the other raid.
Yeah.
But
also, if you Google the mythology of those 3, there's a lot of bare butt.
And that's just Greek mythology. Everyone's naked all the
time. And I love it.
You should meet Zeus.
Well, he loved everybody.
Yeah.
Showed up as a goose and he's like, look at this.
Yeah.
Somebody's like, man, I'm enamored with that goose.
But yeah, it was kind of interesting. Like the gods, we can say the gods' names now.
Yeah. So spoiler.
Yeah, like,
we went through the fights quickly.
Yeah,
we went through the fights quickly because I wanted to then go into. So now, if you hung out this far, you've not played it, and you're not interested in being spoiled,
this is on you now.
Thank you for listening. We appreciate your listen. Come back here after you did it. Pause this. Go do the fights in the story. Come back and listen. So go ahead.
Oh, you're talking to me. Yeah. So we had the first fight there with Nafika. We kind of knew that from the patch preview. She was kind of in there as the main god quote that
the face
kind of talked to us in the same way that the face of the gods in the same way that it was Ralgar that was it. No, it wasn't Ralgar. It was Viragot that was the face of the first series.
Yeah.
So Nafika was there. She had a really interesting fight that I don't remember at all. Honestly, I can't remember it. It wasn't memorable. Just
that she had a scythe.
Yeah, see, I don't even remember that. Like I vaguely remember the area that we fought in, but that's it. It's colored flower piles. Yeah, see, I don't remember this.
Nope.
Ran the whole thing once. Don't remember. Susan and I did survive the entire thing
Mhm.
and didn't drop our connections. So we were there the entire time. But okay, so why does it up again? Because remember the other fights. Nafika is not one that I remember, but the second fight with Althic and Nimia, that was really fun just because it is the god of time and goddess of fate. That was a very interesting.
That was a
dynamic.
lot of I almost said dynamis. The dynamis of that fight. The
That's a whole
dynamic
other thing.
The dynamic in that fight was really cool. How they played, the thought process of playing off each other's space and fate, and how those two things played off each other was so smart. And
the fact that they're siblings, it did really well. Kind of in the same way that Naldal worked well in the first raid dungeon, like the dual gods.
The duality and balance. So I agree with you. Very, very fun fight. Also fun to see the concept of like, oh, what if we did this? And then you had to do this and like play off these two things, and could easily see them doing. Sometimes I feel like they create the alliance raid mechanics just so they can see what will work for future raid encounters and make them tougher.
I hope so.
So I would love to see.
This is kind of like, this fight did remind me a little bit of Omega.
Okay, yeah.
Because we had the dual mechanics, or like dual boss mechanics with Omega as well.
Mm-hmm.
So this is definitely like an evolution of that, and also not quite as challenging as that, being a raid versus an alliance raid, which are typically much easier.
Yeah.
Your favorite though?
Halone. Oh boy, the Halone fight was so good. Goddess of War, mover of glacier,
spear.
Yeah, like mover of glaciers and Goddess of War. Boy, they did not let up on that. I feel like they really leaned into all their archetypes. Like, oh, okay, she's the Goddess of War, so she would be relentless, right? Like, I feel like her fight was very like I'm just gonna keep going. Like, there's no stopping. Move here, do this. Like, but that's fine. Like, I don't think it was difficult, but I think it was like you're constantly moving and remember where you need to go, and like, but like, I think if you see that fight one or two times, it's a cakewalk. But like your first time in there, you're like, what the hell is happening?
I mean, it also fits as the daughter of Ralgar, who's god of war.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
But I like, there is, and we'll probably get into this later, like it's not exactly what we know of Halone either. Like, as I said, mover of glaciers and goddess of war. But that wasn't also quite the Halone that we saw. Right? Like, the information that we have as players is biased.
Yeah.
Right? We only know what our characters would know, which is what's been passed down through generations, not necessarily what these gods are.
Very nice. They're all very nice.
And I guess we can get into it now. One of the things that we've heard about Halone for a long time is that she's a bitter rival of Nafika, which in this patch, as we're doing this, even Nafika kind of scoffed at and was like, that's not really a thing. Like, we're not bitter rivals.
No, if anything, we're like best friends.
Honestly, Halone is the one that kind of reins in Nafika, because Nafika's like that mischievous, like, troublemaker.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, let's hey, look, I want to go explore and talk to the humans, but I'm just gonna do that, okay?
Yeah. Like Square Pegs. Remember that show, everybody? Square Pegs from the 80s? Just like Square Peg, right, Susan? Square Pegs? No? All right.
Susan just goes, wow. What a poll. Yeah, you have to remember that most of our audience probably wasn't around in the 80s. So.
It's true. What a pull. mean, it only lasted like one or two seasons.
Wasn't that a Canadian show also? I have
Was
no
it?
idea. I've
I
never
don't
heard
think
of
it
it.
was. I don't. Well, maybe it was. Welcome
Hey,
to Square Pegs podcast, where Quinton and I review the only season of Square Pegs.
The only square peg I like is the TikTok of where does this shape go? That damn square hole. The last fight of this was really interesting too. It also had kind of a dual boss mechanic. Like partway through it kind of swapped. And Fina, of course, is the keeper of the moon, goddess of love. But she's also ice, so also played into that with like Halone and Mefina, both having very ice-based arenas. Menfina's also had a lot of moon symbology all through it, and really interesting with it, also has a dog in the middle of it. You get this giant big puppy that comes down and starts fighting with her, which gets some interesting mechanics between the two of them. But I mean, less interesting than the siblings. But yeah, big fluffy dog. Please mount.
Mm-hmm. And she just loves us so much. There's so much love to give. So much. And the twins, Althik and Nimia,
Yes.
just first of all showing up on the scene. Like Althik is so serious. Like the video is like, bro, it's not that serious. Just
Yeah.
just the most mean mugging MFer ever. Just rolls up and he's like, what is like I was like, dang, this guy might actually not like us. What's going on here? And he's like, no. And
He does like us though.
He does like us. And if it's just like older brother, he's like, oh, okay. I'll still test them though. Such a just like a perfect like, you know, like, oh, big bro. And he's like, oh, okay. Like, don't be such a meanie. And he's like, okay. So I don't know. Like, I feel so far pretty good. Now, the thing we learned, right, was like after these fights, we got a lot of the story and
some really interesting lore.
Some fascinating lore. And you know, there's some things I think we're still what we can I don't think they openly told us, but we can sort of assume some things.
They did tell us some. They didn't overtly like explicitly be like, this is who they are, but they did basically say that.
Yeah.
Right, like, so again, big spoiler alerts from this. At the end of the fight, or at the end of the raid, I should say, we finally deciphered the giant crystal that no one could decipher. Because reasons.
It's still drinkable Ovaltine. It's what it's.
Just talk freely. They've been warned. And we finally get this information of kind of the things that are kind of not binding, but are I guess kind of binding each of the gods to this area or to the world. And it's basically like a very high level, not description, but like purpose for each of them.
Yeah.
So, for example, like Alec was the god for time, and Nimia for fate, and Nafika for like harvests and abundance and growth and those sorts of things. Each of them had their mission statement. There we go. Each of them had kind of this piece to anchor them to their purpose, because as we know, they get kind of their power and their form and abilities based on what the people of Erzia, or not Erzia, shoot, what's the planet called again?
Well, I remember it's Heidelin. Aetheris, yeah.
Aetheris. The people of Aetheris believe about them. So, like, as Halone was believed to wield the spear and all of that from all of the Ishgard believers, then the goddess Halone started manifesting with that spear. So people thought process can change how they are, and they wanted something that would allow them to at least keep part of who they were or who they are supposed to be. And along with that, we learned that there are 12 gods, but there were actually 13 people left over. And this is where we stopped, because the 13th person, as we are chatting about in game, we believe is the Watcher on the Moon. Now, we haven't confirmed this because that's going to be the next raid series, because we haven't actually gone up there yet. But with that, assuming that they are the 13th person there, that would mean that each of these 12 gods were one of the
12 disciples.
co-conspirators.
Oh, okay.
Co-conspirators with Venat, and were basically the ones that kind of made her Heidelin, I guess, or they were trusted enough that they, when Venat as Heidelin, shattered the world, split the world into 14 shards, she didn't split those 13. One of them stayed up on the moon watching over everyone. The other 12 became effectively the gods and goddesses of Aetheris.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of where we're sitting right now with the lore, and it's a very interesting implications. Because basically, the ancients are the same effectively kind of as the Ascians. Ascians were just like the Zodiarch's version of the ancients, and these are kind of the Heidelin version of the ancients, even though all the ancients are just the ancients, right? So really, that kind of makes the gods the same as Ascians. So all in all, again, even though we've completed the Zodiac arc, everything is still the fault of the Ascians, or the ancients in this case.
Yeah, of course it is.
Yeah, that's just how this game works.
Great. That's always Ascians.
It's always Ascians.
Always. So,
or the Echo.
Yeah, of course. So that leads us to, of course, where we're going with the raid named Thalia. Is of course we have Thaliak, the ruler of rivers and wisdom, the god of knowledge, and is the guardian of deity of Charlayan, which, what do you? I think that's going to be a wet fight. So that's what I think. So,
rivers, yeah. There's going to be water there.
The third moon, Eorzean calendar, Thaliak is the father. Lives at Limlayan.
Limlayan.
Yeah, and the teacher of Baragat. Is oh boy, water and hammers.
No. Just that he's the teacher of Baragat.
Oh, okay.
He's the knowledge. He uses a staff.
That makes sense. He's often depicted as a reserved scholar holding an ashen staff, as simple as the scroll. I hope he's wearing like a little tiny hat. Like a teacher's
I hope
hat.
he has the staff, the staff that goes big and small.
Yeah. Limnaean, the watcher of the seas and the goddess of navigation, is the guard. I wonder.
Again, we're on the water theme.
Yeah, is the guardian deity of Limsa Laminza. She commands the element of wind and associated with the fifth moon. So, wind boss. And then, of course,
wind and seas. We could get like a Leviathan like fight. That'd be fun.
Ooh, that would be fun. Of course, Oshan. Oshan is the ruler of the mountains and god of travelers and vagrants.
Who we still think is Derek.
It's Derek, yeah. It's Derek. Let's all be real about. Let's be real about that. It's Derek. He commands the element of wind and is associated with the sixth moon of the Eorzean calendar. Oshan is the brother of Nalthal and the close companion of Halone. He is most often depicted as a carefree ranger wielding a bow of yew. His symbol is the walking stick. Now, do we think Derek knows Derek is Oshan?
No.
Okay. That's I agree.
Not yet.
Yeah.
I think he will find out.
Why do you think? Why do you think that he doesn't know?
For the same reason of why he's wandering. So, as they were talking about in the lore, as we were kind of going through it, one of Oshan's things was that he's constantly wandering. He is exploring and learning about the people and being around them. And one of the things the gods kind of lament as we're talking with them is that they're not around people, especially because they have all these powers, and if people knew that they were around, they'd kind of have problems. I think for that reason, in order to probably get the full experience of walking among the people and getting to know people, you can't remember he can't remember who he is. Otherwise, he has all that kind of one preconceived notions. Two, he has whatever influence that the people have over him, right? Because as the people think about him, their perceptions change who he is. But if he doesn't know who he is, then they can't really change him.
Susan says there is lore speculation by the elder lore mongers is that Derek is a familiar made by Azim because Azim
That's
didn't
us.
want to be tied down being a god, so they made Derek take their place or something to that effect. Ask the lore peeps. What if we're right? Like, what if, hold on. Because, like, all right, so if right, Derek is a familiar made by Azim, right, then we would just be, like, later on, Derek would just become part of us, right? Like, if that's the whole, like, oh, wait, like, Derek.
Not necessarily. It depends.
Do you think?
Because it depends on the Azim, right?
It's true.
Venat was Azim at one point, right? It's just a title. We could be a shard of Azim, but this could have been, let's say, the previous Azim.
There was an Azim, right? But no, in the lore, technically, we were the Azim. Let's see if I remember this off the top of my head. We were the Azim that took Venat's place, right? In the story, like, we were the other Azim, like, because Venat
Were we?
retired as Azim.
Yes, but we never knew who the Azim is after her.
Is it Derek?
Well, and that's what we don't know, right? Like, we could be the next one in line, or there could be however many more in between her and that.
And that Azim
us.
is the one that made Derek. Yeah, Derek, us.
Yeah.
And the one that took Venat's place.
So that's what we don't know. We don't know what happened between Venat being Azim and us.
Mm-hmm.
And the splintering of all the shards.
I really do like your theory that Derek is just.
I like my theory.
Yeah, I think Derek is. Because that would make the most sense, right? Like, Derek would, like, Ashan would want to wander. Right? And it's weird that, like, all of a sudden this place opens up and Derek shows up. He's like, I just happened to wander on by and they're like here and there's this thing going on. And
I could almost see that as like a safety mechanism almost, or like a reaction, because he doesn't know who he is, but periodically he probably needs to, like, go back or report or do something. So if he happens to walk by the entrance there, it appears, and if he wanders into it, maybe eventually he'll regain his memories somehow or something happens. But the other thing that's interesting is that none of the gods have reacted to him, really.
No, and I also wonder if the reason why Derek doesn't have friends, now that you mention that, is because if somebody got close to Derek, right?
Yep.
And they would have this preconceived notion of who Derek, like, you could easily be like, oh, Derek, tell me more about you. Derek doesn't know who he is. He just wanders. Like, that's it. He's like, he just goes around and wanders.
I don't know necessarily, because he'd do the same thing that he told us. Like, he's a wanderer. He's just permanently moving around all the time. I think that he doesn't stick or get close to people is more of a fact of
he is constantly
wandering.
He doesn't want to name the monkey.
Yep. But I think that is that's more of a belief system, right? Like, one of his core beliefs is that he is wandering around always and going all the different places. I think that core belief of Ashan is still very much driving him, even if he doesn't know where that's coming from.
And there seems to be a little bit of, like, that, right? Like, there seems to be in the writing and how the characters depicted that there is a little bit of like, what if I did like
Yeah.
there's like this driving force behind like that doesn't make sense. Like just you have a monkey friend, that's cool. Like, but yet again, like we know, Ashan, didn't want to see the creature be hurt, right? And
Right.
we could assume if it is, is Ashan also a one to be like, I'm not going to let, like, because of if they're part of the group that wanted to save the planet, or is Ashan one of the ones that maybe created like those creatures and was like didn't want to see one hurt, and like I mean that's an entirely possible thing, like, right? Like we went to like the garden of like creation and and
True.
I
mean, both things can be true, right?
Yeah, I mean totally. And
Now,
that totally could make sense. Like, what if Ashan, the ruler of mountains, Ashan's the ruler of mountains because Ashan created like what, we don't know how deep the ideas of those damn people went. Like,
I mean, I don't think that they necessarily created mountains or rivers or whatnot based on their pieces, because most of those things probably already existed at that point.
yeah.
Like these are a later generation of ancients, right? There were many ancients before them.
What if he created the monkeys, though, the mountain monkeys?
He could have created the monkeys. That's
okay.
possible.
I just wanted to be like, ook.
Maybe he created ook. There's one more thing I want to touch on before we wrap up, because I know we want to wrap up. For anyone who is listening live, we are going to be playing some 007 GoldenEye after stream. Show title Mountain Monkeys. There we go. But in our alliance raids, typically we have 4 bosses, right?
Yeah.
Aglio is Biragot, Ralgar, Azima, and Naldal. Euphrosyne is
fall.
but together.
Yeah,
4th
together.
boss.
Yeah.
Euphrosyne was Nofika, Alphic, and Nimia together. Halone and Menfina. However, there are 12 gods, which means remaining we have Thaliak, Limlayan, and Ashan. That's 3. That means there's still 1 fight unaccounted for that's going to be in this alliance raid, which means there is more to this story than we know.
Is Naltfall counted as 1 god?
Yes.
Huh.
So Biragot, Ralgar, Azima, Naldal, that's 4.
Because they
Nafika, Alphic, Nimia, Halone, and Menfina, that's another 5. So we're up to 9. Thaliak, Limlayan, Ashan, that's 13. Or sorry, 12. There's 12 gods.
That would make sense. Okay.
So we're still missing 1 fight, at least, assuming that they don't combine gods again in this raid. Because they could, for example, combine Thaliak and Limlayan into 1 fight.
We could.
And we don't fight Ashan.
Also, yeah, we might not. You're right.
So the question is, who is that last fight? At minimum, we're gonna have 1 unknown fight from the gods here, but there could be more than that.
Yeah, but do we think it's the Watcher? Like, why would the Watcher fight? Like, the Watcher's watches. Like, that's
the Watcher's on the moon. Yeah, are we gonna teleport to the moon and fight the Watcher?
Like, why would and Susan's like, ooh, and Oppo. I mean, it could be the monkey. The monkey.
We fight the monkey at the end.
I mean, who's to say that the monkey? Who's to say the monkey isn't a god, right? Like,
yeah.
Like, remember, because like the whole concept, right? And like that all these gods have their minion form, I guess. I don't know what the like.
Yeah, they're inconspicuous form.
They're
last fight's of
they're
minion
battle. 24-man for minion battle. Great. Everyone
that would actually be beautiful.
Actually, I would love to see that hot garbage mess.
Yeah.
Who's to say that the monkey isn't? What if the monkey's Ashan and Derek's just Derek?
I mean, both of those are possible. I don't think so, but it is possible.
It would be wild, right?
Yes.
We could throw both on the table.
Well, and
the
that's
table's
what I'm
big
wondering
enough.
with, like, we still have that 1 unknown fight at the end. Like, what twist are we going to have that's going to end up being again, at this story, like, as we've been going through it, we've been fighting all of these gods, but we don't know for what purpose. Right?
That's
There's a
true.
reason that they want us to fight through all of them to prove ourselves or something. Maybe whatever that is the last thing that we have to kill.
Yeah. And we
Right?
don't
Like,
even know if
you
it's
can defeat all of us, maybe you can finally defeat this.
Defeat this. But do you think it's
gonna be the Femro Scholar?
Oh my god. Oh boy.
She was great.
Loves it. She's just so much like the most like I love everything.
She's in love with Halone. Oh no, Nafika.
Nafika and Menfina, like as soon as I saw Menfina, she was like, "Ooh, Menfina!" Like, technically, all the gods. She's like the god groupie. She
mostly the femme presenting ones.
Yeah. Till Ashan shows up and she like flop. Like Derek this whole time.
You are always beside me.
this Derek. Do you think that with what do you think happens at the end of this? Like like we know that Heidelin is gone. Like that
Yep.
But do you think that the point of this is to like do you think that these gods will always have to persist in the world because it gives the people of Aether something to believe in? Like they have to have some sort of faith, right? Like I'm assuming like people still believe in Heidelin even though Heidelin does not exist anymore. Or do we come out and be like, yeah, no, God's dead, don't worry about it no more?
Yeah, so I think that could be that is a possibility in the end, is that we're really just trying to release the gods from their watch over the world, right? And let them return back to the ether, and like we did with all the Asians, right? Like Emmet Selk and Hythlodaeus and everyone, they went back into like the blob, the stuff. And scientific, yes, I know.
Just put me in the ground. I want to go back to the blob.
But like, I could see that the gods also want that, and I don't think it's going to be a thing of like, oh hey, the gods are dead. Like, I don't think we're going to go in and ruin everyone's day that way, because the gods haven't really interfered with people anyway. So
no, yeah, they made it a point not to interfere.
Right, and so there's no real need for them to be around aside from watching over them or protecting them from something or other, right? Like there's a reason why they are there. We don't know why they are there still, why they joined with Heidelin.
Yeah, so I guess we'll find out in the next patch or the next two patches in the 6.5 when we'll find out the conclusion of gods.
Susan had a good question. Do we think that the gods want to know there are people strong enough to protect the world and be true of heart so they can just die and go away? That is one way to phrase what we just said.
Yeah, that's...
And there seems to be a theme in this patch of people just wanting to die. Welcome to Final Fantasy XIV.
Yeah, Final Fantasy XIV. It's a very sad game. Everybody just wants to die.
One person really did in Endwalker. In Garlemald.
In
the train. That was... Yup.
They went there.
Yep, they did.
I don't know. I kind of agree. Like I feel like if this is about... I gotta be careful how I word this. I'm gonna say if this is about release, and that's not how I want to word it. Everybody's just looking for release in this game. No,
accurate.
It would make sense, right? Like if Heidelin wanted to test us to know we were strong enough to take on what we needed to take on, right?
Yep.
And if these gods want to know if man, right? If the man of the world,
the people of Aetheris,
the people of Aetheris are strong enough to continue knowing that they know good and well that they are no longer needed, we are probably the ones to prove that right? Like, hey, you know, it would make sense that they showed up after Hydaelyn and everything else has stopped, because maybe they were just an extra layer of protection for the people themselves. Like they helped guide them. And like, you know, Venat's big thing was like people had to suffer. So in suffering, people tend to latch on to gods and believe in certain things, like be it, you know, love, war, you know, even, you know, in money and time and fate, like all those things. So it would make sense that they comprise these roles. The one that I think is the wild card is Ashan, because who was like, man, I like the god of just rolling around.
That's me. My character has always been a follower of Ashan since I created him.
So
like 7-8 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, like I think
Off.
I think that's the one, that's the wild card, and how I think the most interesting. Does Ashan want to go away? And maybe that's why Ashan,
or just become mortal.
Yeah, that too. Like, is it that Ashan just wants to become mortal to continue to wander and know the people, you know, experience the world? And maybe and it would be interesting if Ashan leads us, if it leads a clue to where we go next in the world.
True.
Because Ashan is a wanderer, and
I don't think so.
You don't think so?
No, because I don't think they like to tie the Alliance raids into story.
I don't know, because, and I say this I say this in a way that like Susan would understand, because we know that they don't normally do that, but Susan and I know that they did tie something along, like the Bosjan weapon, right?
Yeah.
In the Bosjan weapon, there is a scene. I won't ruin it because I really do want you to go through there. I know you don't want to do the weapon. Please don't grind the weapon, but grind the story, because the story is very good. There is a scene at the end, and that scene is not paid off for us yet at all, and it's left on a cliffhanger.
And maybe it won't.
I think it will, because I think Susan will, if she remembers it, she'll know that there is still something out there that we have not finished. There are still some followers. I don't want to say. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to, because it's you, and I don't want to spoil you. But there's clearly more to our story, and where we go next. I wouldn't put it past them to say, if they're trying to tie all the loose ends, right? Yes, this is not part of the main story, but it doesn't mean it can't funnel us into the main story, right? Like it's its own thing, but it doesn't mean they can't lead us into,
where like it's near.
It's not exactly. So I wonder if Derek's like, oh yeah, I've wandered all of Aetheris, and there are still places that you have not wandered yet.
And we already know that.
We know that, but I would
told us that.
Yes, but I would love for him to say, you know, if he says like, you should go to the New World, there are many things await you there. Like there are things like you don't know. Like I would love for like just to say that. Like there are like, yeah, tell me what's that going on, because honestly, if there are
tacos here,
honestly, can't wait.
You know how many people would be so happy if they finally got tacos?
Because, well, one of the things I know from the Blue Mage questline, right, is that in the New World, it is ceruleum heavy. Ceruleum, and like so much so that it is so abundant that it's ridiculously abundant over there. It's almost like America with its oil. So
oh no.
And there's kind of that leaning in there. There's a little bit like, all right, a lot of fuel over there. So
I know we're like,
sorry. I was about to say the same thing. I know we're a little over. So
yeah, like I know we're at the end here. I wanted to go back on one thing quick. Susan said Venat didn't want people to turn into primals, so make neutral gods instead. And I think that's I was going to make a similar point there. I think that like the Ascians went and were trying to influence people to believe in things, Hydaelyn needed a foil to that, right? She needed something that people could believe in of their own free will. She believed that people always should have that choice, whereas the Ascians basically were trying to convince people to believe in things they probably shouldn't have. Corrupted primal summoning, for example.
Radio stations.
Radio stations. Dictatorships, fascist governments. So like, I think that it was a very conscious decision to have them there and acting as that foil where they don't have to necessarily directly intervene, but they are there for people to believe in. As a we lost the Discord.
You're back.
Thank you. So yeah, that's I think that's a really interesting point as well. But I have nothing else. We're way over, and we're supposed to start our stream gaming.
Yeah, stream gaming
stuff
yeah.
shortly.
So next episode of Maelstrom Radio, I'm gonna do the story so we can talk about the story.
Yeah.
Maybe
so
Susan
just,
will join us.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Quick housekeeping here. We are still doing our co-op streams on Thursday. I think we've settled on Remnant from the Ashes for right now. That's kind of our story or game we're going to be going forward with. I will be back on Sunday with my streams, probably Stardew Valley this week, and likely Raft going forward. And as for the podcast this year, we're pretty much thinking about doing a twice-a-month schedule, kind of similar to what we had last year, but we are going to try to keep it on a more regular basis, so it's a little bit easier for people to predict. And yeah, if we're keeping the same schedule, well, we'll figure out what the scheduling is going to be like. I may or may not be here. Yeah. Again, as mentioned before, we are going to be playing some GoldenEye 007 on Switch tonight. Join us in Discord if you're around. And otherwise, Peter?
Yeah. Well, Susan said if actually the next episode, if we keep keeping the same schedule, Quinton will be around. So just be Peter and I for the talk. So you might just get Susan and I talk about the story, but we'll get Quinton's thoughts. Then we'll talk about Quinton's thoughts because I know Quinton had thoughts. So we'll make sure that we share them, or we can pre-record.
I had one very important thought, and it was at the end, and Susan's aware of it.
All right, perfect. Well, as always, till sea swallows all. Keep listening.
Maelstrom Radio is brought to you by Flatus, Shinter, and me, Susan Sprinkle. Join us for live podcast recordings and game streams on twitch.tv/Maelstrom Radio. Give us your feedback. Send an email to show@maelstromradio.com, and please check out all of our links at linktr.ee/Maelstrom Radio. Views and opinions expressed by our hosts and guests do not reflect the views and opinions of any companies discussed on this episode.